Well, hello. Welcome to April 2nd, 2022. This is the Good Life Meditation, and my name is Kurt. I do this every day, first thing in the morning, after I get myself cleaned up, and before I start my day in earnest. This is my chance to reflect on the past day, consider my life objectives and principles, and to plan for the current day. So let's begin. Last night and yesterday. Ooh, man, I got to sleep late last night, and I'm feeling it. I didn't go to bed till 10:30. I haven't seen the far side of 10 o'clock in half a year. The reason was that Yumiko was assembling she has a room 2 doors down, and she calls it her beauty room, and it's for putting on makeup, and she keeps her wardrobe in there and everything. It's a nice room. It's nice to have our own spaces. First time in our lives, each of us have our own room. I love my space here. Anyway, and she bought some shelves. She's been shopping for shelves for quite a while, and they arrived, and she was eager to put them together, so she did. And Rudy, our white dog, he's territorial. He claims this upper space, usually all day long during the week. I work upstairs, Yumiko works downstairs. She has an office downstairs. We have so many rooms. It's such a contrast from what we had in Japan, which was a tiny, tiny, tiny little place. We've had everywhere all of our life. Even in Irvine, it was a tiny place. Anyway, so Rudy, the white dog, claims the upstairs when I'm here, and he's a little dingy, and he gets aggressive when anybody comes up, Emily or Yumiko. It's our space, him and I. So when I'm up here, when I'm up here, and the little dog is always with me because he follows me everywhere, then everyone's got to watch out if they come upstairs. And I didn't want Yumiko to be terrorized by the dog, so I stayed downstairs, and that's why I stayed up so late. She wasn't quite cognizant of the time, nothing to matter time, but anyway, it resulted in I stayed up late, so it'll be a little tricky to stay on top of things today. But I took my allergy meds, and I took them a little late, and now I've got my coffee, so let's do this day. Yesterday was a working Friday. What I mean by that is that I work a 980. Is that what it is? A 980 schedule, something like that. I have a way of describing it. I get every other Friday off. Yesterday was not a Friday off. It was a working Friday. Usually that's a catch-up day for me. I have lots of time to catch up. No meetings, and I had no meetings. But boy, I was busy. Solid week from Monday to Friday, and I'm not complaining. I've had plenty of jobs where that was the way it is every day. That's normal. I'm just, like I keep saying in these videos, I'm getting older, and it's hard to do that normal anymore. But solid day at work. That's why I'm wiped out. But I think I've got things in pretty good order. Some good things happened. A lot of good things happened. It was a good day. Today marks our 30th wedding anniversary, as I mentioned yesterday. We're going to go to our favorite, down to San Clemente, to our favorite sushi restaurant. We've got a reservation on our favorite seat by the end of the sushi bar with our favorite sushi chef. That should be fun. It's interesting because Emily and Chris were there last night. So it's a family favorite. They were there for Chris's birthday, so we tend to go there to celebrate anything. Yumiko and I are planning a proper 30th anniversary vacation in June. So it's all in the works. But today should be a good day. So we're going to get up early, do this, that, the other thing, go. So not much to say. How about opportunities to exercise the good life yesterday? Oh, no, but I can think of one for today. I'll say it now because I might forget later. The bullseye aim. I made that reservation And sometimes reservations go south. So we'll see if I get the right end of the counter. I'll be ready. What does ready mean? Well, if someone else is sitting there, we can't take it. So do we go away and come back, maybe? Maybe I'll talk to Yumiko about it beforehand, just in case they gave us the wrong, because they did this before, they gave us the wrong site. Come up with a contingency plan. Yeah. Think about it ahead of time. Okay, let's do the good life, and I am going to do the lightning round. Because I kept promising myself I would do it this week, and I never did. I did full things, so I'm going to give myself that grace today. 7 objectives. To be always ready to die. To make good and effective use of time. To develop and maintain good and sound life principles. To cultivate good emotional reactions. To perform good actions. To recognize true limits and true opportunity. And to do one thing at a time, and to only do that thing slowly. It's interesting how my 7 objectives are self-explanatory in their titles. I can basically recite the title, and it recites the meaning. Not so with the principles. Things like the Homunculus, the pirate ride, home of good and evil. I wouldn't know what the heck those are unless I explain it. I wonder why that is. Maybe it's because the objectives are statements of or mission statements. The principles are utilities, different in that capacity. My 30 principles are 1. The principle of war, to fight against what I think is true. What I think is true. Not what I think is not true, but what is true. And what you tell me is true, but it seems to me important. You being anybody. Number 2 is the principle of reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt, which is how I approach the world, particularly towards that endeavor of war. 3, the homunculus, my substitute for a soul, because I don't think we have a soul. I don't think there's anything immortal in us other than perhaps our atomic elements that will go on. But we do have a consciousness, but that's only here for a short while. Next is the Anchorhold, the idea that each human being is ultimately very alone during life. I witness the torment that happens in our minds sometimes, that nobody can really experience. They can kind of watch the outer symptoms that happens as we suffer, but they can't experience it themselves. There's no way to get across that barrier between one another, a barrier of the rest of the universe. Even when we're embracing our loved ones, there's a whole universe between us. Or the universe stands between us. That's a better way to say it. Next comes the home of good and evil. Right and wrong are subjective opinions that we hold. Nothing in the universe. There's no code of right and wrong in the universe. Nothing engraved in our hearts. Anything that seems like it's engraved in our hearts is encoded in our genes. But that only comes about because of the instantiation of best practices into what we are. What works becomes us. Next comes the principle of purpose. My 3 purpose are 1, to be a good father, and to that end a husband, spouse, home provider, protector, etc. 2 is to be a virtuous human being, striving after the well-being of thinking creatures in particular. And then 3 is the sharing of my mission, which is my mission to do performance of my mission, which is to share the message in my book, Going Alone, which is what I'm doing right now. Another reason I do this every day. Because this Good Life Creed really works. I've been doing it now for over 4 years, every day. And it's become part of who I am now. I am more measured and steady, in control, and a more deliberate and mature human being, and a more reasoned one for this effort. It works. So I share what works. Next is atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces. So too you and me. And soon we'll be back to those bits and pieces. Next is the principle of nature. Everything has some particular nature. It's good to remember what that is. It's the nature of Fridays to be status report days, which consume a lot of my time. It's the nature of reservations, especially when you want to reserve particular seats, to be got wrong. The next is the pirate ride, the suggestion that free will is a all too convincing illusion, but in fact we don't really have much choice, or any choice, about, well, we do get the choice. We do get to choose. We genuinely do. The only thing is, the choices that we do make are the only ones that we could ever make. The universe has too much to say in our decision making. Next is maturity and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude, which serve to improve our living and help us to do better. Then comes the social principle. We are social creatures. We need each other. Then public speaking. The reminder to be very careful about how I communicate. In my written communications, I'm very careful and deliberate in my writing. And if it's even a normal email, I'll read it twice. If it's a very important email, I'll read it thrice. I'll make sure I get it right, or more. And I'm never, ever gossiping, and very careful about how I speak, my spoken word as well. This measured tone that I'm using right now, this careful use of my vocabulary. I mean, I really enjoy it. It's kind of like a hobby, studying words. But I only use words that I think are appropriate for the circumstance that I'm in. You know, never flashy or ostentatious words, but words that carry my meaning without requiring others to, be distracted by what I said. Like, well, what was that word he used? Even though it might be the right word, maybe the right word 200 years ago, it's not the best word now. Especially the case at work. Next comes, and I mentioned gossip, right? No gossip. The dog snoring. Next comes temperance, and the sub-principles of suffering, simplicity, and apathy, which constitute a temperate life, although I want to move apathy to the other one, but I forgot. I keep forgetting every day. Then comes the horror show. Life is a horror show chock full of terror. I remember that. Then the Feast of Offal, which is what we do when we get upset and we spew out our upset to the world and make a mess of it all. And it's one thing to give it out, as another thing to consume it when others are doing that. Like we all did at the Oscars this year. I wasn't watching, but after the fact. Then comes distraction. We distract ourselves from the emptiness of the universe. We don't want to see the great indifference. Then comes the best seat in the house, to not want to be anyone else, be anywhere else, or be doing anything else, but to be okay with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing. All the while striving for better. Then the path of wildness, which is a way to move forward into a new life, to create a new chapter of life, and particularly to break out of a stale, stagnant life. It requires courage, requires risk, the acceptance of risk. You may have to bloody yourself up and bleed and lose. The funny thing is that usually that's the best type of winning. Next comes the risk of avoiding risk, the surface level risks of life, and the deep risk. The deep stuff is the challenge of, finding ourselves. The surface level risk is the easy stuff. Education, job, family, security. Easy, Kurt. That's not easy. You're right, it's not easy. But easy compared to the challenge of courageously building your own, finding your spirit and voice and making your own story. Next comes sin and damnation. There are 8 sins in my worldview. Falsity, credulity, hope, faith, superstition, authority, dogma, and gossip. Engage in any of those and we're as good as damned in the here and now. Not forever, but just during the time when you engage in the sin. As soon as we stop sinning, then we're in better shape. Although we have to live with the memory, maybe. Wasted time. Next is complete oblivion. The suggestion that since we don't have a soul, there's nothing to follow after this. When we're dead, we're gone, and that the tricky thing is that we will never see our loved ones again. Anyone who has died already, or who will remain after we are gone and then die themselves, we all just go dissolve away. Our consciousness just dissolves away into the void. We will never see them again. We'll never have a chance to make amends. And there'll be no justice if justice was not meted out or achieved during our lives. I know it's a sober and sorrowful thought maybe. Yet it's also enlivening and awakening towards living better now if we embrace it. Because it seems to be the way it is. Those of us who tell ourselves that we're going to have a forever with our loved ones in heaven are, I believe, fooling themselves. There's absolutely no reason to think we have a soul, or that there's any God, or any heaven. It's a wishful thought that allows us to bide our time, clutching at pearls, biting our nails, thinking about what we've lost and what we hope for, and dreaming of something better. All the while, the clock tick, 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 ticking away towards our own demise. So much wasted time. Next comes the great life adventure. That's what we can do instead of wasting time. Is set out into life to build our story. It doesn't have to mean you have to go anywhere. You can have a great life adventure at home. But it does mean you have to get dirty and lost and confused and maybe die. But what a great life that would be, huh? Even if it's short, your own life. Next comes the season of philosophy, which is a time to record what we've learned along the way. I've set up a new routine for this. I found a guy giving away a great writing desk. It's over there. I've set up a journaling station. Beautiful old wooden roller desk. I've got it all set up with lighting and everything. Beautiful journal. And it's part of my daily routine now. Immediately after this, as soon as I'm done with this, the next thing I do after this is I read the Bible. I think I finished the Song of Solomon. Finishes the wisdom chapters. And I'm moving on to a new chapter today. So I'll read the Bible after this. And then I'll go to my desk and I'll do a journal entry for, usually it's summing up yesterday. But then what's neat is that during the day, as I'm working at my work desk, is if I'm inspired with an idea, or I can run over there, and it's a big, big, big journal. Got my pen. It's like one of these, but a sharper one. And then I've got my colors, and I'll just go over and write down whatever. So as the muse is speaking to me, I'm going over and doing it, and I'm doing this for myself. This will be my own personal journal that will go on the shelf. I did this before in my 20s. And early 30s, or was it mainly just my 20s? Yeah, 20s, up until about age 30, from about age 26 to 30. I must have produced a dozen journals filled up. So I'm going to do it again. But now it's got a different feel to it now. Better feel. Pardon me. So, although I think what I did before was more artistic. I sure was optimistic back then. It's amazing what seeing the Great Indifference will do. Although, spying the Great Indifference did enliven me as well. Made me more active in life. More optimistic in that sense. Making good use of time. Okay, so the season of philosophy, despite all of that, the basic idea is that when ideas come into our heads, especially after we've had a great life adventure, that we get just maybe a few minutes at most, if my experience is telling, and from what I've read of others having the same thing, you get about a few minutes to write it down, and then it's gone. Or record it in some way. It doesn't have to be writing. It could be a painting or a drawing or a poem is writing. It could be a video, whatever. You could even dance it away. Dance it into existence. Okay, next is the bullseye aim. Striving for the mark and missing. Like we might get the bullseye aim with a reservation today. I don't know why I'm so focused on that, because I really want it to go right. Uphill climb, steady climb forward. Arena and utility. Life is this venue where we get to use our principles like utility belt tools. And then finally, two more. Nothing is enough. That's right. The suggestion that less is better. Maybe nothing is a little over the top, but it sounds good. And then the last one is the principle of fun. Reminder to have a good time. Why do we forget this one every day? Every day is so serious, so working. Work. Okay. Only one yawn this morning. Come on, coffee, kick in. Let's review the coming day, or preview the coming day. I think I pretty much already gave it away. It's a day of Bible, journal, house cleaning, dog walk, get in the car, drive to San Clemente, have a nice lunch with Yumiko. We gotta have breakfast along the way somewhere. So maybe we'll go to Costco or something, or we'll get breakfast. Then we'll do maybe some of our shopping, because we'll get there early. Then we'll do in the afternoon, or noon, we'll do lunch. La-di-da-di-da-di-da. And then we'll come home. A lot to do. I don't have to do the house cleaning today. I've already got a good start on some of it. Any places to be ambushed today? Expectations. Yeah, expectations. I've got to beware expectations. Not just today, but every day. All right, thank you for joining me today. Be safe, but not too safe. Talk to you later.